guys, it's Julia Pierce with Plumline Productions. And for those of you that are just meeting me for the first time, I'm pretty well known for covering the information and the stories that everyone else is afraid to, or other people are bought out to keep quiet. And usually I cover the stories that people end up dead for. So Julie, why aren't you dead? Well, that's actually kind of an interesting story, and I'm not going to cover it here. If you want to learn a little bit about my history, then you can go check out some of my previous videos. Today I want to talk about the importance of your sheriff. And many of us don't know that the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of our county. He's the one that can go arrest all of these criminals in office. That is if he's not corrupted himself. So I'm going to cover a story about a corrupted sheriff in the county in which I used to live. And I have a lot of experience with this sheriff. And it really started from being a Christian, speaking to another Christian, until I realized that he wasn't really a Christian. Now, don't get me wrong, he can talk a lot of the good Christianese that you hear in a lot of these churches. But let's be honest, people aren't really looking for people who can speak good Christian. They're looking for people who can live good Christian. And don't worry, this isn't going to be a video where I'm going to speak about Jesus and all kinds of scripture. I'm actually going to show you guys what Jesus would do. In fact, what Jesus has done. See, a lot of people like the nice Jesus, the one who's loving and the lamb and, who has died for our sins. But they forget that Jesus overturned tables and whipped people out of the church. They forget that he slung around names like vipers and, children of the devil to a lot of people who were in the church. Jesus was not okay with public corruption and organized crime. And he definitely wasn't okay with the people who are supposed to be serving justice, subverting justice. And if we've got sheriffs in our county that we're supposed to look to protect us or serve justice, those men or women who are in charge of the courts or the jail, if they're willing to break the law themselves, how can we expect them to hold accountable the people who are breaking the law too? So I wanted to present a story that came across as an opportunity to cover. And although this story isn't specifically about the sheriff in question, it is about his right-hand man. And if he is the sheriff of the office in that county, then he is responsible for what the people underneath him are doing. And what I found particularly interesting is that there were many officials within the law enforcement community that were willing to cover for this sheriff's office and this command sergeant. The Columbus Police Department was part of it. So let me just give you a little tea when it comes to the story. So I had a citizen contact me and tell me that this command sergeant was found in a public park after hours in his government-issued vehicle, off-duty, in the wee hours of the morning with a woman that he was not married to. Now, I wasn't so concerned about the fact that he was in an illicit affair with someone he wasn't married to. My concern is you have a man who is working for our sheriff's office, driving his government-issued taxpayer vehicle in a park after hours, which is illegal, naked. That's public exposure, also a crime. And when the police officers showed up, by the way, there were 2 officers and 2 corporals, only one of them had his body cam on. And when he realized who was in the vehicle, after you hear him say, "Oh, they're doing the nasty," he says, "Oh, well, then carry on. Where are we going next?" Now, what's interesting about this story is When I tried to get the open records and the body cam information for this event, the Columbus Police Department's Open Records Division, they gave me quite the runaround. It was only until I engaged the Office of Professional Standards that something was done and I ended up getting what I was asking for. But I had to get a little smart. See, when I came with the original request, even though I got the last name of the command sergeant wrong, let me tell you, I put them on high alert. See, I have this software on my email system that tracks every single person that reads my emails. It doesn't necessarily tell me who they are, but it tells me what city or state they're coming from, whether they're on a tablet, phone, or computer, and it tells me what time they read it. So when you start seeing 40, 50, 100, 455 people reading your emails, come, Watson, something's afoot. And tell me why the police officer was so willing to just go on about his business when someone was obviously committing a crime. If you and I were there doing that, we'd be in jail. But because it's the sheriff's good buddy, we'll just let him go on about his business. And 3 of the officers, 2 were corporals, either didn't engage their body cam or it was conveniently deleted. Here's the original request on May 20th. You'll see I have scratched out Mitchell because I typed the last name wrong. But these people knew who I was talking about. Here's the email where you can see obviously 85 different people have been viewing my request. Now, typically I deal with either Vanessa Rocha or Kimberly Myhan, but usually it's Kimberly. And at this point, I was pretty much told no records exist. So here's where I figured I'd just request the CAD files so I could find the incident myself. They answered that pretty quickly. And here's where I requested the patrol lineup for each of the incidents that I found. And again, that was answered pretty quickly. When I requested the body cam, this is the cost letter that Vanessa Rocha from the Open Records Division of the Columbus Police Department gave me. You see that cost right there, $106.48 for redaction and copying. I'll be honest, I got upset with her because I didn't think that you need to redact anything. That's not really helpful in government transparency. And at this point, Kimberly Myhan had pretty much introduced herself into our conversation. And this is where I was in contact with Sergeant Norris once I made the complaint about Kimberly and Vanessa. When he mentioned that there's only 2 people that worked in the Open Records Division, he agreed it didn't make sense that there were so many people viewing my email. So Sergeant Norris actually went to go look for the Larry Marshall event. And turns out I actually had the wrong date on my second request, but he went ahead and found the event anyway. And there were actually body cam footage responses for officers in that event that I didn't even request. And you'll notice that they actually gave it to me at no charge. So I'm going to put the video in here, and I do understand that there is a lot of white noise from the radio, but pay attention to the officer McClendon whose body cam is on and how he says they're doing the nasty. Oh, carry on. Where are we going next? And I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think there's a cover-up? If you want to reach out, you can look me up on TikTok or YouTube.